Over the last few years of using this technique, it was a really good way to pack in even more revision. I came out of it just feeling so dumb. I used to joke every day that my GCSE notes would somehow absorb through osmosis. A good way to further consolidate your learning is to stick, if you find yourself in that exact same situation but don't have time to just scroll through hundreds of pages. Only when I came to university, I got tested for dyslexia. Another hack is to have Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about the dreaded R word, revision. So I'm going to be showing you the main revision technique that I found helped me in exams. Normally I don't tend to do these kind of videos because I don't consider myself exactly to be like qualified, you know, like I'm still learning too. But I guess you could say that getting a mid-first and a high-first in my university exams is qualification enough.
American dream, best country in the world.
So if you do like the sound of today's video, go click that like button right now. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Gaia and I'm a 4th year psychology and criminology student at Nottingham Trent University. On this channel we have university advice, student vlogs and lifestyle, so there's something for everyone. So feel free to click that subscribe button as well. Also let me know down in the comments what revision techniques you find helpful or if you use any of the study hacks that I'm going to mention in this video. So first, I can't really talk about my revision technique and the true significance of it without first giving you a brief background of my journey through education. Basically, throughout school, I always struggled to find revision techniques that actually worked for me. When it came to revising, I just remember teachers telling me to make lots of notes or mind maps, but they never helped me to retain the information. So when it came to the exams, I struggled to remember anything that I'd been taught, and I came out of it just feeling so dumb. I definitely don't think being at a grammar school helped the situation because all of my peers were getting constant A stars, whereas I was just desperately trying to pass. Only when I came to university, I got tested for dyslexia, and turns out I not only have dyslexia, but I also have dyspraxia. I also found out I'm a visual learner and definitely not an auditory learner. After so many years of struggling, finally finding out that I have dyslexia has definitely helped me find what revision techniques actually work and why certain techniques in the past didn't. So just a quick disclaimer, this revision technique that I'm going to show you might not help you. You're bound to have your own preferences when it comes to revision, and that's completely fine. But I just wanted to share the revision technique that after 21 years I've finally realised works for me. On a side note, if you would like me to do a more in-depth video about my journey into finding out that I was a dyslexic and a dyspraxic and talk about the struggles that I faced through secondary school and the rest of my education, please let me know down in the comments so I can find out how many of you would want me to film that. So instead of filling an A4 book with every single thing I've been taught, I prefer to condense my notes down into topics onto flashcards. Even if this means that I end up with about 100 flashcards, that's fine, because having the information on flashcards really breaks it down for me and allows my dyslexic brain to categorize the information. However, I do not like making just brief flashcards, you know, where you have one keyword on one side and the definition on another. I like to pack my flashcards with all the information I need to know about a topic. So one topic per flashcard, and pretty much turn them into, I guess you could say, like a super flashcard, like a fact file. Even if the flashcard is packed to the brim with information, just visually seeing the information on a smaller flashcard compared to a thick book of notes just makes it feel so much more manageable for me, and almost as if the information I need to learn is less. Next, I structure my notes by putting the name of the topic or theory at the top of the flashcard. Then I put all the main key terms for the topic, followed by a section that outlines the key points or any information like dates I need to know. Then on the other side, I put any points I can use in evaluation or critical analysis, like strengths, weaknesses, implications, alternative solutions, etc. If I've got lots of evaluation, I will even staple an extra flashcard to that first flashcard just so it keeps it all together. So these flashcards can basically be used for any type of exam or assessment, whether that's multiple choice, short answer or essay style questions. So you've probably noticed by now that my example flashcard is completely covered in highlighting. You're probably thinking,
"You guy, you got mad."
Honey, I know, but there is method to my madness, I promise. Throughout school I was told just highlight all the important bits in your notes, but since I'm dyslexic, that literally doesn't help the information sink in at all. Plus, highlight all the important parts. All of it's important. Something I've definitely learned over the last few years, something I understand about myself a lot more now that I've been diagnosed dyslexic, is that words literally don't sink in as fast unless I highlight them. If I don't highlight something, I have to read a sentence probably about several times just for it to sink in, as I literally can't read it. it, I'm seeing the words yes, but for some reason the neurons that are sending signals to the other parts of my brain that explain what I've just read aren't firing. Like, they just aren't sending the message, and during all of this I'm just experiencing brain fog. If you've watched any of my previous study vlogs, you've probably noticed most of the things I've written down on a page is highlighted. Because I'm dyslexic, I don't just highlight in revision, I have to literally highlight in everyday life. For example, in my academic planner that you'll have definitely seen in the vlogs, I have to highlight my to-do list. Now you're probably asking, Gaia, why are you highlighting in so many different colours? This is because if I were to highlight everything I need to read in one singular colour, this doesn't help it sink in well either. Yes, I can probably read it a lot better than I could say if I didn't highlight it at all, but by splitting up the information into categories and highlighting those categories with not only different colours but tones, I am able to break up the information and just overall digest it better. Over the last few years of using this technique, I've set out which exact colour I like to use for each category and I stick to it. I'm not saying you have to do this and use the exact colours each time like I do, but there is evidence to show that associating information with something, whether that's a colour or a memorable rhyme, you're more likely to remember it. But regardless of that, as I've just mentioned, I don't just use colour coding in revision, I use it in my everyday life. So instead of having all the information merge, by dividing the card or whatever I'm using into colours, it helps the information stand off the page. So the highlighters I like to use during revision are the Stabilo pastel ones and the zebra mild liners ones. These are the colours I like to use when I'm revising. Like I said, I always use the exact same colours for each flashcard I make. So when I'm writing the title or the topic, I like to use the purple highlighter. When it comes to the key term section, I like to highlight the actual key term in dark blue and the definition in like a pastel cyan colour. For subheadings, I like to use pink. Then for any key dates or key information about the study or topic, I like to use either a pastel orange or a yellow, anything that's a warm tone that will help stand out off the page. When it comes to evaluation, I like to use obviously green for strengths and red for weaknesses. As I probably showed in this video, I'm all about categorization and association, and obviously in society when you think of strengths you think of green and weaknesses you think of red. So now that you've finished the flashcard, instead of simply just rereading the information, hoping and praying it will go into your brain somehow, trust me, I used to joke every day that my GCSE notes would somehow absorb through osmosis. Get someone to test you or retest you. Read the information, then try to recall as much as possible, and then repeat those steps. This method is evidence-based and is called active recall, a method you'll most likely have heard of before. There are also many different strategies you can learn within active recall as well. However, for time's sake, I'm not going to talk about that in this video. Also, stop testing yourself on all the easy questions you get right every time. You're just wasting precious revision time because your brain is already able to retrieve that information for those topics very well. Instead, focus on the harder topics and keep testing yourself until you're also able to retrieve that information as well. I found this method really helpful, especially since we all know now that I am not one of those people that can read something and it just magically goes in. Now, the next best thing to consolidate your knowledge, apart from repetition, is to teach your revision to someone else. Someone who isn't a classmate or familiar with the content you've learned. They always say you can only truly understand something once you're able to teach it to someone else, and it's true because it forces you to have to fully understand the topic to be able to explain it to someone who's learning it for the first time. Also, by teaching it to multiple different people who are new to it, you're naturally learning to explain the information in different ways, and this will not only help consolidate the information faster in your brain, but it will make you view it in different lights and outcomes that you can then incorporate into your essay-based questions. Basically, by teaching it to someone else, it forces you to have to understand every inch of the topic, which is very helpful when you're approaching assessment. Now, if you're lucky enough to have an open book exam, by this I mean exams where you can take your notes in with you, flashcards will literally be your best friend. If you're in the exam and suddenly need to look at your notes but can't remember where in those notes that specific information is, one thing that is going to save you time is keep your flashcards stacked in the same order every time. This probably sounds like a no-brainer, but if you have your flashcards stacked in the same order every time and have memorized where certain topics are in that pile, you can go straight to that section and not have to flick through 100 flashcards to find your answer. If I have several large topics included in one exam, I would separate those topics into piles and practice reaching for them, so by the exam it's basically instinct. Personally, I like to order my topics based on the order I learned them in. So the information I learned in week 1 will be kept at the start of the pile, and something like week 12 will be kept at the end. If you're able to use a laptop in an open book exam, another hack is to have another version of your notes in a Microsoft Word document. If you find yourself in that exact same situation where you need to suddenly find an answer but don't have time to just scroll through hundreds of pages, go to the search bar in Microsoft Word, type in the keyword you need, and boom, it leads you to the exact section in your revision notes. I can't kid you how much time this saved me. However, if you unfortunately don't have an open book exam, which is the case for most exams, a good way to further consolidate your learning is to stick notes on your bedroom wall or somewhere you're going to be a lot. If you stick them somewhere that you're naturally going to see a lot in your daily routine, you're obviously going to be exposed to these notes more and will keep unconsciously taking in the information every time you pass them. In my A-levels, I remember sticking my flashcards on the wall around my mirror because I knew I'd be standing there every morning doing my makeup for an hour. So it was a really good way to pack in even more revision, even in those moments where I didn't have time to sit down at my desk and test myself. So there you have it. That is my main revision technique and some study hacks, ones that are designed for every single type of exam and bagged me several firsts at university. I really hope this video helped. If it did, it'd mean the world if you go smash that like button if you haven't already. It honestly helps my channel so much, and if you're new here and you want to see more, why not click that subscribe button as well. Comment down below if you'd like me to make more of these kind of revision videos in the future. Other than that, I've been Gaia and I'll see you next week for more content. Bye!
That was a really good one.